80-20 rule in leadership. The law that separates good leaders from great ones. In leadership, not everything matters equally. Some tasks, people, decisions, and habits bring you massive results. Others, they eat up your time and energy but move the needle almost nowhere. Jim Rohn understood this deeply. He often emphasized simplicity, efficiency, and the power of doing more with less. The secret? The 80-20 rule. Also known as the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule states that 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts. As a leader, whether in business, your family, your community, or your personal life, understanding and applying this rule isn't optional. It's essential. In this chapter, we'll explore what the 80-20 rule really means in leadership, how Jim Rohn applied it, why most people ignore it, and how you can use it to lead smarter with more impact and less overwhelm. Part 1. What is the 80-20 rule? Let's start with the basics. The 80-20 rule, or Pareto principle, was first discovered by Italian economist Vilfredo Pareto. He noticed that 80% of Italy's land was owned by 20% of the population. But it didn't stop there. The pattern showed up everywhere. 80% of a company's profits come from 20% of its customers. 80% of problems come from 20% of causes. 80% of your happiness comes from 20% of your relationships. In leadership, it means a few actions, people, or habits create the majority of your impact. But here's the trap. Most leaders treat everything as equally important. They get buried in emails, distractions, meetings, and problems that don't really matter. Jim Rohn warned against this. Learn to separate the majors from the minors. Great leaders learn to focus on the vital few instead of the trivial many. Part 2. What the 80-20 rule looks like in real leadership. Here's how the 80-20 rule actually plays out in leadership situations. 1.80% of results come from 20% of tasks. You probably have a to-do list that's too long. But if you look closely, only 1 or 2 items really move your mission forward. Example: closing a key deal, hiring the right team member, crafting a vision strategy. Jim Rohn would say, don't mistake movement for achievement. A full calendar doesn't mean you're effective. Prioritize the tasks with high leverage. 2.80% of impact comes from 20% of people. In any organization or team, 20% of people create most of the value. 20% are your top performers. 20% cause most of the problems or drain the energy. Great leaders invest more in the top 20%, nurturing talent, mentoring, and recognizing contribution. Jim's advice: work where the return is the highest. This doesn't mean you ignore others, but you focus your energy where it makes a difference. 3.80% of challenges come from 20% of causes. If you're constantly solving problems, chances are a small number of systems are broken. A few people may be creating repeated issues. A single unclear expectation is causing ripple effects. Action: identify the root cause and fix that. Jim often emphasized leverage. Success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines, practiced every day. Instead of putting out fires, fix the system that starts them. 80% of personal growth comes from 20% of your inputs. Leaders must feed their minds, but not all input is equal. Ask yourself, which books have transformed your thinking? Which mentors changed your life? Which decisions elevated your growth? Usually it's just a few. Tip: reread the top 1 to 2 books that made the biggest impact. Double down on what works. Part 3. Why most leaders ignore the 80-20 rule. Even though the 80-20 rule is powerful, most people ignore it. Why? 1. Busyness feels productive. Jim Rohn called this the illusion of activity. Leaders stay busy with minor tasks, emails, low-priority meetings, over-planning, because they feel in control. But they're not doing the work that matters. Don't just get through the day. Get from the day. Jim Rohn. 2. Fear of saying no. Focusing on the top 20% means saying no to the rest. That can feel uncomfortable. But leadership requires discernment. You cannot chase 2 rabbits and catch either. Jim Rohn. 3. Lack of clarity. Many leaders don't clearly define what really matters. If you don't know your highest value activities, everything feels urgent. Solution: ask, if I could only do one thing today that would make the biggest difference, what would it be? Part 4. How to apply the 80-20 rule. Like Jim Rohn. Here's a simple, powerful process to make this rule work for you. Step 1. Audit your tasks. Take your current to-do list or calendar. Ask, what 20% of tasks are producing 80% of the results? What can I stop doing, delegate, or automate? Step 2. Identify your 20%. People list your team, clients, or partners. Ask, who brings the most value? Who drains time with little return? Spend more time developing, empowering, and rewarding your top 20%. Step 3. Focus on the 20% habits. Think about your personal rituals. Which ones energize and focus you? Which ones waste time or distract? Build your day around your core habits, like reading, planning, exercising, and thinking. Step 4. Review weekly. Jim Rohn believed in reflective thinking. At the end of the week, ask, what produced the best results? What should I double down on? What should I eliminate? Small adjustments made regularly lead to massive breakthroughs. Part 5. The results of leading with the 80-20 rule. When you start leading with focus instead of frenzy, everything changes. You'll get more done by doing less, feel more calm and in control, empower the right people, make better decisions, faster, grow your influence and impact. Jim Rohn put it beautifully. Time is more valuable than money. You can get more money, but you cannot get more time. Use your time, attention, and energy wisely by focusing on the few things that truly matter. Final thoughts. Leadership is focused simplicity. Great leadership isn't about doing everything. It's about doing the right things, over and over. That's the secret of the 80-20 rule. Jim Rohn didn't complicate success. He simplified it. Success is a few simple disciplines practiced every day. So today, ask yourself, what's my 20%? Who are my 20%? What am I doing that produces real results? Then, lead with clarity, lead with focus, and most importantly, lead with intention. Your challenge. Today, pick one area of your leadership life, your team, your tasks, your goals. Ask, what's the 20% that matters most? What 80% could I stop or delegate? What change will I make starting tomorrow? Write it down, take action, track the result. Do this weekly, and you'll lead with more clarity, purpose, and peace than ever before. Would you like me to create a printable 80/20 leadership focus planner to help apply this chapter in real life?